Hello.
Fine, how are you doing?
Hey, Chief. How you doing?
Well, thank you. What's up? Sorry, I hope I
Good.
didn't bother your Sunday.
No, no, not at all. Not at all. I appreciate you, brother. Yeah, no, just technical issues seems to be the story of my life. But
Okay.
um,
How is everything going on?
good, good. I hope it's all right with your format here. If this is
That's
on,
right.
if I could turn the phone or something if you need me to. I'm not sure if
That's fine. Just
yeah.
yeah,
I have a desktop, just no like webcam or anything like that. So this is kind of the easiest way to do it.
yeah. Just if you can keep it steady, that would be better. Yeah. Just
Sure, yeah. Let me
put
let me
some book
get
or something behind it.
Yeah, I got you here. I got yeah, I had meant to set all that stuff up and then unanticipated issues with that whole thing. So
No problem.
about that.
That's the life of an artist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unanticipated issues here. Here we go.
Yes.
Some more apologies. Okay, there we go. That should work.
Great. So
Yeah.
yeah. So it was really nice meeting you at Brooklyn Music Kitchen, and
Yeah.
were pretty modest. I think you performed before me because you performed last time, yeah?
Yeah, yeah,
Yes,
it
I
was
was not.
I think I went up like third or something because I
Okay, so I was not there probably. So, and I asked you, are you going to perform? You said no. So because you had already performed. So I did.
Oh yeah, yeah, because I think you came in later, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't know that you're an amazing musician. So tell me your story and your singing and how long you've been doing it and what inspired you, who influences you. Tell me everything.
Sure, thanks, man. Yeah, I um, I mean, I've been playing. I've always loved music. Uh, but I've been playing. I played guitar when I was younger. But and I liked it, but I didn't. I found the maintenance was like to it. I think it you're sorry. Just I got distracted for a moment, wondering about the
Oh,
noise. It's not too much the noise
no, I
outside, right? I
cannot.
can
I
close
cannot
those
hear.
windows if you need. Sorry
What
about
about
that.
you? Can you hear any background noise? Because
Mhm.
I
Oh no,
kept.
I'm fine. I'm fine. On my end, it's fine. I know
Okay.
you're trying to keep your thing situated, so
Yeah.
it's not exactly like a high quality sound environment over here or whatever.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So I played guitar when I was younger, but I didn't quite like. I just found the maintenance was so frustrating in terms of like you stop playing for a month and then you can't play anymore because there's no calluses and you're like you had all these things you could do and you feel like you should still be able to do and you can't do now. You're like, oh my god. And so, and with my ADD brain, like if anyone has ADD, I do.
Okay.
Like I mean, I actually do diagnosed or whatever. But I like it's I'm all over the place kind of thing. So it was like it was just very. I kind of got to a certain point and I plateaued and I got enough. I got good enough to be a certain level, and then I didn't really. I and I had played like I'd played the piano here and there or something and kind of played, but I didn't really. I was in college and I was I was avoiding like with most things like this. I was avoiding doing something else. Really, I was avoiding doing my homework,
Okay.
and I would play and it would be this room I would do my work in, and it was and there was a piano in there, and I would just end up. I would just go over there and just play the piano to avoid doing my math homework and stuff, and and I would and something about the keys just clicked, I guess. I I always, and this is kind of the approach that I take when I teach too. I try and it took me a while to get to a point of like even feeling comfortable with that, but eventually I did realize that there's a really there's a deep value in because like I can't, for example, like I may not be able to teach somebody to play like Mozart or something, or like
Oh,
something extremely technically complex and specific.
right.
That's not the kind of thing that I could teach someone. And I mean, frankly, like there's so many available options for that
That's right.
that it's like, okay, that's fine. Like we don't need more of that, honestly. But there's a whole other avenue that I just feel is extremely underexplored in terms of the pedagogy of music, which
Yes.
is like, we always impose theories so early. And I mean, when I say theory, I don't even mean like the circle of fifths and all that other stuff. I mean, literally just naming the notes.
Notes.
It's even that. I mean, even just having a sense of this is what a chord is, and this is what is, and these are chords, and these are not chords. It's like a Tao sort of thing. It's like
That's
when you start naming things,
right.
you inherently impose this structure, but there is this idiosyncratic creative structure that is in like the metabolism, the organism of every human being,
Right.
certainly every human being who actually likes music of any kind, which is most,
Right.
and you have like, and so you have this idiosyncratic creativity that is, you know, I mean, I don't want to be too pessimistic, but I do, I do feel inclined to say it's kind of, it can be pretty permanently crushed by imposing all these things early. And it's not like they could still become very good, but there was this thing that they could have gotten to if you had just put a keyboard in front of them and just let them. I always tell parents who really want their kids to play, it's actually why I don't even feel comfortable in a way. That's not true. I mean, I would feel comfortable teaching a kid if the like a really young kid if the parent was on board, but only if the parent was completely on board with the idea that like ultimately I'm really not like I would do it's as hands off as possible, because then so like as much as you can, you put the you just I always tell so I was saying I always tell them just the best thing you could possibly do, honestly, even than like hiring a teacher or anything, is just buy them a keyboard or something, or a piano or whatever you can afford. Leave it in their room, leave it in there, let them play it when they want to or not or whatever. And especially if you notice them playing it a lot, uh, if anything, have that be the thing that you like take away from them when they fuck up. I'm sorry, I shouldn't
Right.
curse on your,
Right.
but have that be the thing. Make it like the video games or something. It's like that. When they mess up, then it's like, all right, take it away to people, because they make the opposite mistake if they try to impose it and they try to force it on them, and then that's what leads to these. Kids end up being they grow up later and they're like, yeah, I played when I was younger, but then I stopped. And it's like, well, yeah, because they turned it into work for you. And it's not, it's always very well intentioned, but
Right.
it's just this habit that we have as people to turn things that, we turn everything into work. And it's like music is the one thing, like one of the two things maybe in life that should never be work. And like, it's like, it's, and it's interesting because now I work as a musician. And the funny thing is that was actually the most sorry, like I said, the windows.
Right.
Um, that was actually the most like the most almost the most helpful thing. I always say busking is better than therapy. It's like, playing street performing is better than therapy because it gets right to the core
That's right.
of something in life that is it's applicable everywhere, and it's extremely difficult actually to figure out, which is like, how do you work well and hard while remaining at play? Like it's a really, really subtle, difficult thing to do. But if you can
That's
figure
right.
that out,
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
um, and so anyway, I'm probably being too long-winded here, but the point is, I so I started playing when I was in school. I was in school for math and philosophy. I always tell people like, listen, if people would actually pay me or tip me to go out on the street and just talk philosophy or something like it was ancient Greece, then I'd probably do that. But it's not really the culture we're in these days. So the music is the second best. But I mean, I'm just as passionate about it. It's just but that's really like my first love is philosophy and mathematics and stuff. Um but um but so I started learning when I was in school like that. I played for, I guess, from when I was about like maybe 25, or I'm 33 now. When I was about like 25 to like 27, 28, I played uh, roughly in that way, just kind of playing. I played the piano, and I eventually I saved up, got a keyboard, um, and so I played for about like 3 years or so, 3 or 4 years like that, and then I didn't really play so much for a couple of years because I moved
Your
around a
birthday is
lot, and
May
then
25th, 25th.
Hmm?
Your birthday is May 25th.
Oh, it's September 6th.
Oh, okay, okay,
Hmm?
got it. Okay,
Oh yeah, oh, was that was a guest from
yeah.
so
You mentioned May 25th, so I thought it's your birthday.
oh no, I was saying when I was 25. That's what I was
Okay,
saying. I think
okay.
yeah, sorry, because I was mumbling and saying a lot of things. My apologies. So yeah, so I well, so and I mean again, so that's why I brought up the teaching thing. Sorry, all I'm really trying to do when I'm teaching students is just replicate what I did to learn, because which um people say all the time, like, have this very distinctive style, this way of playing, like, how did you, and I tell them, it's like, it's literally just that process of, so what I'll do with the student, for example, is like, I'll say, like, all right, let's come up with like a few, a list of at least a few songs that, or pieces of music, whatever it is. I always say, like, there are literally no rules. Like, it doesn't have to be piano. It doesn't have to be any. It could be guitar solo. Like, part of the reason I play the way I really loved guitar solos,
Yes.
but I knew from when I was younger that I didn't really have the chops to play those things on the
Same here.
guitar.
Same here.
So, but I would, on the keys, I felt much more comfortable. So I was like, oh, I'll figure out a way to
Right.
make it sound like what I want it to sound like on the keys.
Right.
And I always tell people, I'm like, listen, if your favorite musical thing to listen to is like some recording on your phone of like a babbling brook that you took to 7 years ago or something. Like, I don't care what it is, like how weird it is. Like, it's just, you can somehow, if that's the thing you want to replicate, then that's what we're going to try to replicate. That's what you're going to try to play. And then that's sort of like one side of the core of the thing, which is important, because it sort of is taking the place of what theory usually does. Because what theory usually does, I think, is for I mean, okay, well, the real value of theory is in, at a higher level, it's in playing with other musicians. It's in communicating. That's the real deepest, I think, value of it.
That's right.
Is that you can very quickly assimilate and communicate on the fly, on stage with musicians. Something you can have a sort of whatever. And but for students initially, I think the only real value it has, in my opinion, is that it streamlines this sort of motivational process where you have, it can be difficult to keep playing every day, especially in the beginning when you can't play anything comfortably and feel you're still struggling, even just to press the keys the most basic ways. And so you there's this motivational problem where it's not, in theory it's nice to say, okay, well, listen, just because the other exercise that I'll do is, like, for example, because this is what something I did when I would play. I would literally just, I would close my eyes, and it's actually much harder to do now because it's like my hands have a sense of what they want to do. But I would close my eyes, and I just throw my hands on the keys somewhere, and in some position, like whatever felt right somehow. Like, I just throw my hands on the keys, and I press it, and maybe it would sound good, maybe it would sound bad. Especially in the beginning, it usually just sounded bad, and I'd like find my way to something good.
So you
I would
became
just I would
Stevie
just keep
Wonder.
playing. Was that?
So you became Stevie Wonder.
I don't know about that. I can be superstitious, but I don't know about that. But so I played, so I would just sort of play my way to something good, and that's like one side. I kind of think of it as like these two basic exercises as being the cores of the separate sides of playing, which is like this free improvisational thing, and then this like other side, which is actually the side that I'm not as good at, which is like having a specific idea of what you want to play and playing it to the T.
Yeah.
And so and that's covered by the other side of like the of just we take the songs that you like, these songs you want to listen to, whatever. I would like take some John Mayer or song or something some indie bullshit thing, I was listening to some random thing, and I'd try to play it. And it's sort of, it's taking, that's what I was saying, it's taking the place of the theory thing, which is what theory can provide for a student in the beginning, especially, is like is this very easy means of positive reinforcement
Hmm.
in motivation, because instead of just sort of having to like flail around and find your way to your version of something that sounds good, which can take a while,
Mhm.
you can just sort of immediately, someone could just tell you, okay, here, this is an A chord
Mhm.
and this is a D chord.
Mhm.
And if you play this and then you play that, it'll sound good. And it's
Mhm.
like, okay, there, there you go. So then they sort of can just like jump right to something that sounds good. The problem is now forever, they will literally never again be able to look at the keyboard and not see the A chord and not see the D chord. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
there's a but and that's listen, that's going to happen either way. Like eventually you're going to see the shapes of structures in the keys the more you play. But if you don't let anything else, any other person or structure or whatever impose that structure, then the structure that you see is going to be that like idiosyncratic creative that metabolic structure of your organism, which there is literally never has been or ever will be, and certainly is not now, any other organism
That's
in
right.
the goddamn universe that
That's right.
is you specifically. And it's like that is there's a unique music that will never be, it could never be replicated by anyone else.
That's right.
And we will just, and if we impose that theory, I don't care, Western theory, whatever musical theory structure it is, if we impose it too early, you can learn it later. That's no problem. If anything, it's much easier to learn theory later on, a couple of years after you've been playing your own things for a while, and then you feel comfortable, your hands are comfortable on the keyboard. Then you can very quickly go, okay, let me see what everyone else is doing, and let's see. And what you're probably going to find is that you've reinvented the wheel.
That's
There
right.
you go. But this is the thing. People are so afraid to reinvent the wheel because they're like they think either that it's like it's a pointless process, or that it's gonna take so long, or that it's you're gonna reinvent the wheel but badly, or it's like something like whatever, all these different fears about reinventing the wheel. And the fact of the matter is almost everyone can reinvent the wheel.
Mhm.
They will reinvent the wheel relatively quickly, actually.
Mhm.
And most importantly, if you reinvent the wheel as opposed to just reading up the wheel, receiving the wheel, if you will, or whatever,
Mhm.
um, then it's your wheel. It's like and forget about even like idiosyncratic creativity and unique expression of interesting musical motifs or whatever. Like you if you reinvent the wheel as your wheel, I can promise you that it will be way more deeply ingrained in you than anything. Like no matter how intensely you study
Right.
Western music theory or whatever, like you're never going to, it's never going to be as deep in your soul
Mhm.
as something that you just, nobody told you anything, nobody did anything, and you just went on the keyboard and you played and you let your hands to, and then they sort of, your hands sort of defaulted to these certain shapes. Like for me, it was often like triangles. I would think of them as triangles. It was like, and they would be something like, for example, like an A chord is like a sort of triangular thing. A lot of these triad, I mean, they literally
Right.
call them triads, right? You
That's
have
right.
these, I mean, not all triads are triangular in shape, but you know what I mean? Like these certain triads have this triangular sort of shape to them, right? Like either a
Even on
triangle like
guitar as
this
well.
or like
Yeah.
this, right? If it's like two white keys and a black key is the sort of
Yeah.
this kind of triangle. Two
Right.
black keys and a white key has this sort of triangle shape. And like
And more so
and
on
I
guitar as well, the guitar
and
tri
also what?
on guitar as well, the guitar
Yeah,
tri
exactly. Yeah. If anything, that's funny. That's part of the reason I think I didn't find guitar as intuitive, because it was much harder for me to see the shapes in a
Mhm.
way. Like I didn't have that intuitive sense.
Right.
And that's actually something I always look out for too. Is like when if I'm with like a student or something, and I'll see them, and if I see them really struggling, but I still have this sense that there's a sort of musicality in them, I will sort of try to test and probe and see, which is maybe not even wise, because it's not really a good like business decision in a way for me. It's maybe not what somebody who is smart about this stuff would do. I don't know. I don't really care.
Right.
But I'll sort of try to notice and see, like, is it possible maybe their instrument, the thing that really would click with them, is actually something else, is maybe it's guitar, or maybe it's violin or something. And then, because I know people, I would just recommend, I would just say, listen, I think maybe you should talk to this person I know that teaches guitar, or this person I know teaches violin or something. I think maybe you would benefit more, like that. But because whatever it is, the main thing is just whichever instrument you can find that, that structure just pops out so clearly to you, that without anyone telling you anything. That's the key. It has to be like, Although in fairness, I do think actually I personally I think the piano has a something about it. It really has this. The structure is just so visible. It's so like and I think it's so good for teaching too because the skill floor is as low as the skill ceiling is high. It's like, I mean, you can be Mozart, Chopin, whatever, but but you but you also literally are just pressing buttons.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
Right.
it's not, you don't have to get some weird thing to even play the most basic chord like on guitar or whatever. You literally, it's not this like weird uncomfortable shape. It's not violin where it's like if you even move a millimeter the
Yeah.
wrong way, so to
Yeah.
speak, or whatever, you're like
Right.
it's a completely different sound,
Right.
which is part of why violin is so interesting and sounds so
That's
good, is
right.
because all that complexity
That's
gives you a
right.
lot of creative freedom, but it
Yes.
makes it way harder to
That's
actually learn, right? And so it's like maybe way easier to the margin for error is much
right.
smaller. That's actually a good way to put it, right?
Right.
And so sorry, I can tell I'm talking a lot here.
No,
I'm
no, no.
sorry.
That's
I
great.
don't
That's why you are here. I want you to talk. Yeah.
no, thank you. I appreciate it, man. I always, it's one of these things where like usually I'm pretty good at controlling this kind of ADD rambling thing, but when I start talking about stuff like this that I'm like so passionate about, I'm like,
Right. Right.
it starts, the freight train's going, and I'm like, oh no.
That's all right. I
But
mean, I totally agree with you. I mean,
yeah,
it's that I usually people graduate to guitar, but you went backwards. You know.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
because
pretty typical for me, frankly. I think that makes sense. Yeah,
yeah. So because I totally understand because guitar is boring. It is very hard to
I
make a
love this. Yeah,
sound good, uh,
yeah,
intonation and everything, and then the physical aspect of it as well.
yeah,
However, because my again weapon of choice was also piano. Started with piano, and then I moved to guitar.
yeah.
And
See,
again,
yeah, it's opposite the trajectory. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
And same as like for example, a great guitarist Eric Johnson. He was a pianist, and he still
yeah.
plays piano in his shows. And I have this friend from Brooklyn. Met her in Austin. Anna, she's an actress, but she's is a music composer as well.
Yeah.
She does themes, music score. So for theater. So she also started with piano, but just because of for the accessibility factor, mobility factor, moved to guitar.
Trust me, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
dragging this keyboard stuff
Yeah.
around all over the city, and I'm
Yeah.
envious of the guitarists a lot for the portability of
Right.
it. But
Right.
then I see the guy with the cello, and I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, it could be worse.
Yes.
So
So I totally agree with you.
yeah,
For me, I had to get rid of my guitarist because I was always enslaved with him, and then the girls always like the guy on guitar, and
oh yeah, oh that's a big one.
front.
Yeah, I mean, it's
But then I see Charlie Puth and I see, it's a brand new level, the guy
mm,
is doing amazing things. However, and I totally agree with you. I tried to, I mean, I started playing with the TV famous music themes like Airwolf, like Knight Rider. I started playing.
yeah, yeah,
In fact, I got the idea from there. A friend of mine used to bring his keyboard, the small PT10, Casio PT10.
yeah, yeah.
He used to bring it.
Nice,
Yeah, he used to just hide it in his bag and bring it to the school, and we used to go into the abandoned classrooms and play over there, and then all three of us
nice. That's
got it,
awesome.
yeah, and
Yeah,
playing
yeah.
from there. And then later, as I started becoming more serious towards it, and then I went to friends who became professional musicians, and then I became semi-pro and then pro. So I started learning, like you said, the chord structures and modes and Lydian, Mixolydian, Dorian, all these things, scales. So I totally agree with you that, and I think honestly speaking, where education is going, I think art should be banned in every school and college because there is so much available, And again, a person to person thing is the real thing, and
Yeah.
and there is for example again the YouTube is now like a universe now. Like for example, I was trying to play Toto's hold the line, love it
Nice,
always.
nice.
Then I was trying to play it on guitar, and it was almost impossible because it was composed on piano, and
Yeah,
the changes are so rapid that it's very tough
yeah,
sing
yeah.
and play. But Bobby Campbell was playing piano and singing, And I was like, wow, and how should I play it on guitar? So I tried to find
Yeah, yeah.
tutorials, where, I can somehow transpose or,
Absolutely. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But the thing is, again, like you said, that digressing a little bit, I think I'm studying consciousness these days, and that whether this world is a simulation, this life is a simulation, and of course, when you mention maths and philosophy, they're like, totally a paradox. Maths and philosophy are opposite spectrums. One is pragmatism, the other is totally subjective. And I started writing philosophy when I was 18, but never good in maths. Never was, never will be. But what I'm trying to say is that I was speaking to this sound engineer in Brooklyn, and I just said something off the hook, and then I realized, what did I say? And then I worked backwards, and I feeling more strongly about it, that the only thing real in this world is a person playing an instrument and the music coming out of it, and touching our metaphysics and becoming part of our hormones and brain, our thoughts, because ultimately everything is every manifestation comes with thoughts. And music is the only instruments playing musical instrument is the only way to create something tangible, yet so intangible that it affects us in both mostly positive ways. And like you mentioned, it's the best form of escapism. Like, for example, my daughter, she was natural. I mean, my son, when he was like 6 months, yeah, he was 6 months, and he was, when I put a keyboard in front of him, he put his left hand like that he's been playing for so many days. It's like genetically transferred as well, and he's so natural, and he plays it on iPad and everything. My daughter is extremely talented, very natural. She started singing with me when she was 5, on recordings, and she was great at picking notes. And as you know, as you're a teacher, that kids are really get good at picking notes, and they're very pitch perfect in their singing.
That's why I always say stay hands off. It's like they know more
Yes,
than we do,
yes,
probably.
because
You
the
know what I mean?
society has
Yeah,
not
yeah.
diluted them. They're so sharp.
Yeah.
So now I after spending all my life, the Korg has created this thing where you can, improve your perfect pitch and intonation through this new, I have ordered this equipment. They have started, for vocal tuning, that you're not so too sharp or too flat, but they are natural. And she used to transcribe all these Adams family and whatever she wanted to do, whatever she wanted to play. She was very natural, and I was shocked. One time we were in Boston, and there was a piano sitting over there, and then she started playing Adams family like nothing. And I said, I never told you that. And again, it was subconscious, or again genetic memory or whatever. But as soon as like you said, I tried to impose on her, because she was really good at it. And I said, why don't, because now you can understand whatever is on YouTube. Why don't you try playing the scales and everything? I have this friend, she's one of the renowned pianists in the world, Kisnaitunde, and she's a PhD in music from UCLA. And one of signed by Steinway, one of the most accomplished pianists in the world. And she says, how do you compose? She cannot play without reading.
Yeah.
Like you said, that it has to be a very, metabolic, it has to be organic. And she knows all the symphonies, anything you ask her, she knows everything, because she's a PhD. And but likewise, there was this guy who used to play piano, who was my neighbor, and he used to play. And one day I said, can I try your piano? Because I was always on keyboards, and I wanted to play that, actual hammer action keys, weighted
Yeah.
action keys. So and I started playing all these Airwolf and Knight Rider, and he was shocked. He said, how do you play that? I said, I don't know. I just like it. So,
Yeah.
like you said, it's very necessary that it should be, there should be an open-hearted approach towards it. And I totally agree with you in any, even in filmmaking. Like, I studied from New York Film Academy in LA, but they make you so bookish, they make you so wooden, that yeah, it starts to bore you down so much. They force you too much into technique and do's and don'ts, and there is nothing like that. And now, when the film industry is now nowhere because of the video on demand platforms, people are coming with new ways of guerrilla filmmaking. So I totally endorse that. It has to be uh, open source, so to say, in the sense that you don't know what you can create. And again, like you said, for example, Prince, or BB King. BB King was make playing the song with U2, when love comes to town. And Bono said, okay, so these are the chords. He said, oh, relax, I don't know any chords, I just play.
Yeah.
And coincidentally, he is also a Virgo like you. So my favorite musicians of all time, Freddie Mercury, Michael Jackson, they are all Virgos. And because Virgos go into the depth of things and just own them, in and out. So what I'm coming to is that it's very, very important and I would love to busk with you sometime, whenever you're.
It'd be awesome, man. Yeah.
That would be great. And I totally admire this approach where you are using a combination of because one of my great friends, Amr Zaki, he was one of the best guitarists from Pakistan. And he told me one thing, that Atif, in order to break the theory, you have to know the theory. Just like they say it about the law. In order to break the law, have to know the law. So theory for me is as
My
important.
experience has been different there, but yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. No, what I'm saying is that when you understand the theory,
Yeah.
you can improvise over it.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I totally agree. And I would, of course, keep on seeing you at Brooklyn Music Kitchen or busking as well. Do you have anything for us, to play? I mean, would you like to play something? You have your keyboard handy?
Oh, I could. Yeah, it's over there. I could set it up. I'm hesitant. I kind of want to ask. I
Sure, sure.
shouldn't ask
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
We should talk later about the what you mentioned earlier. That you called it a digression, but I'm like or I guess it is. But you mentioned consciousness stuff and the philosophy stuff or whatever and this and that. And it's
Absolutely.
like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's actually
We will do
I think
part
the
two. We will do part two because
yeah. Well,
nobody
no,
goes
the only
into that area.
the
Yeah.
what's it called? The only thing I was gonna say. Well, you know what? Never mind. We'll get to it next time. But because it was something. But yeah, I could set up the
Yeah.
here. Let me do this.
Yeah.
But it was. I think it was just something about the relationship between like. You mentioned not being a math person. I actually didn't grow up as a math person either. It's a very similar trajectory with the music actually. Like I didn't grow up as a math person, so to speak, quote
Uh-huh.
unquote math person,
Uh-huh.
and which is part of the reason that I know, just like with music, is exactly the same thing.
Hmm.
I know that it is the idea of a math person or a music person is a myth. It's not real. It's not actually what's going on.
That's right.
There are people. The only difference between people really is there's like very very slight differences in sort of like natural talent or whatever,
Right.
but those are immediately washed out within like a month of like the person who just works hard will always surpass any natural talent who's not working as hard like every
That's right.
time.
Of course. Of
And
course.
but the only real difference between people is
Yes.
level of interest.
Yes.
That's the only difference.
That's right.
Some people are interested in math, some people are not. Some
That's
people are interested in music, some people are not. The
that's right.
problem, I think, in both cases, but especially with math, but we won't go there. Part two, whatever,
Yeah.
is because there are a lot of parallels though with
Yes.
the math education and the music education. I think it's much worse in math actually, which is saying a lot because it's not great with music either. But
Right.
it's that you know the whole problem really is that there are a lot of people who don't think they are interested
Yes.
because they have a misconception of what the thing is
That's right.
because of this whole like the educational structure that is so poorly.
Outdated.
Yeah, well, it's just so it's just fundamentally wrong. It's fundamentally not.
I made
But
a,
and
I made a,
I try to be sympathetic, just in the sense of like I know you have to like you have to you have to have means of like a metric for estimating progress and all these things, and like there's reasons why it'll end up being the thing that it is. But it's just
right.
it's
I
yeah.
mean,
You know what? Let's not go there right now. I don't want to get all
yeah,
depressing and
yeah.
everything, but because
I mean,
that was
I
my
made,
first thing I wanted to do was go into education and math education and things like that and try to change things. But it's like, where do you even begin to change a structure like
I
that?
will send you a
So
documentary that I've made on education.
really,
Yeah, I made a documentary on education.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's called Education versus IT. And
Education versus IT, you said?
IT, information
IT, yeah,
technology. Yeah,
yeah.
yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to show me that, dude. That's
Sure,
awesome.
I'll send you.
Let me see. Oh, here I got this thing. Yeah, sorry, it's kind of being revealed how I kind of just rolled out of bed here and did this, but
No problem, no
I would
problem.
have liked to have been more prepared and like dressed up
No
nice and
problem.
everything, but
I should have
unfortunately,
told you, but
yesterday was Saturday is the big day with the
that's
busking, so I was out until 5 in the morning, kind of thing.
sure.
But here, let's just do this here. Just try to. Uh, we'll go full impromptu as always with all
Sure,
this. We'll just make
sure,
it happen. All right,
sure,
cool.
sure.
Um, yeah, I guess let's see. First
We've got
question.
like 3 minutes left. So
All right, cool, cool.
yeah,
Yeah, I'll just kind of jam a little bit.
sure.
Can't really, I could maybe sing a little bit, but I
Okay.
just
No, no, yeah. That'd be good.
my roommate gets pissed. So I don't know. Whoa, that's not gonna fly. Is that audible? Is it?
Play something.
Yeah, yeah. I'm saying, is that audible? Like, can you actually hear that or not?
Yeah, if you play, then
Yeah.
no, that's not audible. I can't hear. I
You
can.
can't hear?
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I was thinking is I got
Yeah, that's a good angle.
I got you. I got you. I know. This is the whole busking process is all improvisation, so I'm pretty good at
Yes.
it. There we go. All right. That was
Uh,
surprisingly worked
Great.
there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice. You can hear it now, I assume, right?
No, I cannot.
Really?
Yeah. I think Zoom is not good at picking up the
Is
audio.
that, is that what it is? Yeah, yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe
Maybe.
nothing. Damn, that's so weird. Because you're like right next to the speaker. I would have thought that would
Yes.
work.
And
Okay. Well,
I think it's too loud for the phone to pick it, I think.
yeah, maybe, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah. But
maybe another time. So yeah,
another
I
time, yeah.
mean, yes. So yeah, I think we should set up another area. So because nobody goes in this direction that you just mentioned about metaphysics and simulation and mathematics, and because at the end of the day everything is an algorithm, everything is a formula, and like you mentioned, it's all about curiosity, about interest. And if the curiosity or interest is there, then it becomes passion, and then it's no more a profession because it's just passion. You're just enjoying it. There's
Yeah.
no struggle involved. So the journey itself is a manifestation in its own. So tell me, if there are any spots that people can catch you for during your busking thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the most reliable places that I'll be is I'm usually on Fridays and sometimes Saturdays. I'm depending on if I still have the energy. I am by Cat's Deli, like right outside the CVS by Cat's Deli in the Lower East Side, on Houston,
Uh-huh.
by like between like First Avenue and Avenue A,
Okay.
that area. From that I know it's a little rough of time, but 12 a.m. to 4 a.m.
Okay.
I'm usually there. It's pretty well. It's a pretty. That's a pretty like. Other than that, I'm usually that's the if only because that's sort of that sort of weekend spot over there is the most reliable place that I'll be pretty much consistently every week. Everything else is sort of like a little more on the fly, a little more. I'm not
Uh,
really sure where I'm going to
I saw
be at
Ed-
any given time.
I saw Ed
But
Sheeran was also busking.
oh yeah, yeah, you see a lot of them,
Yeah.
Hosier, all these other guys, and then I see guys busking now that I'm like,